Good afternoon. It's
come back to the UK then, and well, the public order bill, it's working its way through Parliament at the moment. More amendments being published on a daily basis. But why are we mentioning this? Because the campaign, and I'm going to call it a campaign to provide public support for this bill, continues with Just Stop Oil shutting down the M25 for 3 days now, or at least causing chaos on the M25 for 3 days. And today we had a police officer injured in a road accident involving two lorries and a police motorcycle. But the notion of dictatorship continues to build in this country while the government is busy claiming around the world that we've got to protect journalistic rights and so on. In the UK, journalists are being arrested for attempting to cover Just Stop Oil's protest. So this is Rich Felgate tweeting out yesterday, myself, a documentary maker, filmmaker Tom's Dinner, a press photographer got arrested by Hearts police while filming Just Stop Oil protest from a public footbridge over the M25. So let's have a look at the little video clip that was embedded in that tweet, and you'll get an idea of what happened.
Secure your camera for me, please, sir. Sorry? Put it somewhere?
So what are you doing?
At the moment, you're under arrest.
So why? Can I just ask you? Okay, I'm a member of the press. Can I give you can I show you my press card? Sorry, officer, you can't arrest me. No, because I'm here as a member of the press.
Somebody coming up.
I don't know what you mean by
Yeah, I need to confirm that. Yeah, you can be detained on section 1 of pace. Right, in relation to damage. What? Criminal? Section 4. Yep. Right, my warrant number is PC 2892. You are currently detained.
I'm quite obviously a member of the press, you know, in the middle of the camera. It's a public place.
Listen, it's only a search. You're being
Why are you
searched.
searching me?
Sorry, why? For items in relation to the damage.
He is trying to tell you.
Why are you handcuffing me if you're just searching me?
Okay, so you get the point. And Alex, what I find particularly interesting about this, one of the, I believe it was the photographer then had his house searched by the three police turned up at his property and searched his property as well, waking up his wife and child while he was in the police station and not being released until I think 1:30 in the morning. This is quite a significant development because, you know, what is normally supposed to happen, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the police should be making some effort to identify the people that they're arresting. At which point, as you heard clearly on the video there was an offer to show them their press card. So this was an unlawful arrest.
It was a very unlawful arrest, and you could have it on better authority than mine, because we are going to disseminate shortly a clip I've just received from ex-policeman Charles Mallet of 12 minutes long, I think, talking about this in detail, and these are the points he homes in on. Apart from the slurred diction, you're being detained on a section of the pace, which seems to be the only way that a policeman can talk to you now, which is no good even for young people or people in their prime with good hearing, native speakers. That's no good. But the key of it is Section 1 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984 doesn't allow arrest. It allows for detaining. The second PC you heard got that right. The first didn't when he said you're under arrest. It's detaining to determine whether people in an area which an inspector or above has said is suspect. We can understand that bit because of the protesters, and they need to go and search and ascertain whether there are any people with weapons there. You need to go to those people and say, I'm detaining you with reasonable suspicion that you have one of these items, knives, fireworks, are the kinds of things that are mentioned. And if you have them, you can be arrested. If you don't, you're let go without being arrested. It's a detaining. Much less that you should have your house searched. But as Charles says towards the end of the clip we'll be disseminating, there may have been confusion here, terrible training by high command, which is something Charles deplores more generally, political priorities, and it's very easy to sway the police into action by being a loudmouth protest with a good media team behind you. But the core of it is this house search. Where does this arise from? Even at a stretch, it would be hard to justify it under any part of the old legislation pace, but you've shown recently all the dictatorial measures. One of them is the Police Courts Crime and Sentencing. It's an act now. That, in I think Section 56, does allow for more nastiness to happen if people have been supposedly unlawfully protesting, the criminalising of protest, which went on recently. But this is all a complete mess. extremely bad training.
Perhaps there's a silver lining, Alex, is I wonder whether incidents like this are actually finally going to wake up other members of the so-called mainstream media and press to understand that their liberties are being stripped away with everybody else. You know, if you're a Daily Mail reporter or maybe even a BBC reporter, it does not automatically mean that you are going to be protected from the police abusing the law. We'll see.
Well, it has, and some of the journalistic organizations have already been quite vociferous in their opposition to it. But Alex, sticking with the idea of dictatorship, let's have a look at national identity.
Yes, digital identity is coming in every part of the UK, both at devolved and UK central level, as it is rapidly in many other parts of the world. So here we have a government body which by statute is still supposed to be called the Scottish Executive, but it's rechristened itself first the Scottish Government, and now it goes by Rialtas na Halaba. But anyway, its identity, maybe a Freudian slip of significance that you said national identity there, because they're very keen on that these days. But this is for people to be interested in a digital identity service for Scotland. It's an open event on the 16th of November for 2 p.m. for 2 hours. And you can see here that they are very keen to have people lodge questions. Think of how Debbie Evans responds with the MHRA and act likewise. It's an online event, but you can lodge questions while registering or during the 2 hours of the event. It's about improving access to public services, we are told, and it's about storing attributes in digital lockers so that if the government has said, we accept that you live there or we accept that you have this qualification, you can use that again, but supposedly not obligatory if you believe that. Meanwhile, the viewer has sent this from their pension plan, a photograph of a paper mail that they got. We are hoping, says the pension fund in a monthly magazine, to trial a new digital ID verification service in the new year. You can upload your passport or driving license, because of course Britain has seen off mandatory ID many times, most recently 2005, but we can still have it this way and perform a face recognition identity check. There's so much news coming out from the Register, Reclaim the Net, so many other outlets about unlawful and questionable use of people's data, such as facial recognition software. The Metropolitan Police has been wrapped over the knuckles for it last month in a serious way. The Americans are finding the same problem now. But there we are. And Forbes is announcing, as a quality magazine, so you should take note that the UK has announced initial steps for a UK-wide national digital identity. The DCMS is the governing department for that. It's going to promise to make digital ID as secure as passports and driving licenses. Tap that again and you will see that the first step is that there's going to be yet another office. So just like Ofsted and all the other things that we know about, there's a new one, ODIA, a significantly named body. The ODIA, the Office for Digital Identities, will certify people with a trust mark. Britain has long had such a thing as a kite mark. And this will say basically that you're an approved part of the public-private partnership, the global G3P, as Ian Davis would call it. And to do this, says the British government, it will bring forward legislation, but it hasn't committed to when the parliamentary time will be allowed, will be found for it, to establish this. It will also create a legal gateway, and here's the real money. This is where you can really coin it as a retired politician or a civil servant, to allow trusted organizations to do verification checks, to say that people are who they say they are. So the government will be paying using your money for that. If you believe that's about easy users access to services, I may have a bridge to sell you.
Indeed. And I'm sure lots of people will be buying it as well, Alex. Okay, if you like what the UK column does and you'd like to support us, then please head over to community.ukcolumn.org. There are options to help us out there, or you could pick something up at the UK column shop, including a membership voucher.
We'll say a very big thank you to people who have picked up a voucher, and would encourage more people to do that because it's a very big help to us.
And do please share the material you find on the various platforms. So,
okay, well,